How do you get a listing to sell, and how do you keep a seller happy during this changing real estate market? Hey, I'm Trey Doby with Doby Real Estate. So we're obviously experiencing a changing real estate market. If you haven't paid attention to the statistics, it's very clear. Over the last 4 months, we've seen home sales drop 11% compared to the same 4 months of last year. We're seeing days on market go up. It's at 22 days in October compared to just 10 days in June. So the real estate market's obviously changing. I'm sure you've experienced it, but sellers are starting to get a little unhappy whenever their house sits on the market, because a year ago, people were selling their houses in 3 days, getting 5 offers, going for 20 grand over asking price. And whenever they list their house, they're still expecting the old market, even though the market has changed. So how do you keep home sellers happy, and how do you ultimately sell their house in this changing real estate market? The first way you do this is you have to set very clear expectations whenever you're out on the listing appointment. You need to educate them about the market, that the market has changed. The market's not the same as it was a year ago. So we have a built-out system that we train our agents step by step on how do we communicate with sellers and keep them happy and ultimately get their house sold. As I mentioned, you have to set very clear expectations. So we use Showing Time to coordinate all of our showings. If you don't use it, I highly suggest you look into it because it was one of the biggest ways and cheapest ways I was able to add leverage to my life whenever I was dealing with listings, because the first several years I was coordinating all the showings, and I'd be out to dinner with my family, and I would be texting under the table like, hey, can so-and-so show the house at this time? And I was basically just being a middleman. I was coordinating showings between buyers agents and the sellers, and it was a complete waste of my time, and it was very strenuous on my family dynamic. So we several years ago, we converted to Showing Time. So it takes the stress off of us having to be available 24/7 to coordinate those showings, but on top of that, it provides a higher level of service for our clients. So whenever somebody shows one of our properties, they get an email instantly. Now, I don't explain to them this portion about why we use Showing Time. I was doing that for your benefit, so that if you're looking to add some leverage to your life, Showing Time is a good way to do it. Whenever I'm on the listing appointment, I'm saying, hey, whenever somebody shows the house, we have a company called Showing Time. It's third party. They're going to coordinate all the showings. The reason we use them is I'm obviously very busy. I'm in homes with sellers right now, and if somebody called me right now to show another one of my listings, I wouldn't be able to answer it, and we could lose out on a potential buyer. So this Showing Time party, they will coordinate. As soon as somebody calls in, they will call, text, email you, whatever your preference is, to set up that showing. Now, as soon as the showing happens, the showing agent will get an email requesting feedback, and if we don't get feedback within 6 to 8 hours, I'm usually firing off a text. Then I'll give another 8 hours or so, and I'm giving them a call. So in the first 24 hours after the showing, I'm reaching out to the agent 3 times trying to get feedback, and then I'm going to get all that feedback to you through our Showing Time app that you can use. It stores all the upcoming showings plus all the past showings in our feedback, so that we can take a look at it and cover, hey, here's a constant feedback we're getting. We need to make this change or change this price, whatever the case may be. So my goal is to always get feedback to you within 24 hours, unless the showing happens on a Friday or Saturday. Then I'm going to get you those feedbacks on Monday. Now, I'm typically available Monday through Friday, normal business hours, even as late as between 6 and 7 p.m. If you call me after 7 p.m. on a weeknight, or you call me on the weekend, if it's not an emergency, I'll call you back the next business day. But if it's an emergency or we're negotiating a deal, I'm always going to be available for those type situations. And on top of that, further communication that we're going to be doing is every Monday you'll get an email with a recap of all the showings that we've had in the past week, along with all those feedback. Also on Monday, we're going to send you an email that shows what's happening in the market. So you're going to see similar homes that have hit the market, similar homes that have gone under contract, and similar homes that have closed, so that you're being educated and knowing what's happening in the market today. On top of that, I'm going to call you every Monday. We're going to go over that showing feedback, and we're also going to go over what's happening in the market and our game plan going forward. Side note, if the home's overpriced, I'm going to set expectations that we're going to drop price. So like if it's substantially overpriced, I may not take the listing, but if it's just a little overpriced, what I'm typically going to say is, hey, here's what the market's saying the value is. I understand you think it's a little bit higher. We will give that a shot. Our team's the best in the market. We're going to net you the most money. So if you feel like you need to push it, we're going to do that for you. However, the market ultimately dictates what the value of your home is. the value of your home is what somebody's willing to pay for it, not what you or I think. So if the first week goes by and we have less than 10 showings or we don't have any offers, odds are we're overpriced. Now we'll give it a little bit of time, but let's say we're a week in and we have one showing, then we're substantially overpriced and we're going to need to adjust the price sooner than later. Let's say the first week goes by and we've had maybe 10 or 12 showings, we'll give it a little bit more time, but usually by day 15 or 20, if we're not having an offer, we're going to have to make a price adjustment at that time. So I'm presetting the stage that, hey, we're going to have to drop the price. So that's what happens during the listing process. During our initial listing, our listing coordinator, they set up the market updates, they set up the showing time email, so it all had to happen. So if you don't have a transaction coordinator, obviously you're going to have to do that yourself, invest a little bit of money in the technology that's going to add some leverage in your life. Now ongoing, as I mentioned, every Monday I'm going to call these home sellers and I'm going to go over that showing report and I'm going to go over what the market has done. If I'm calling them every month or every Monday and they're getting an email with showing feedback and they're getting an email with what's happening in the market, if they're getting 3 pieces of communication every single Monday on top of them getting feedback within 24 hours, if we're 3 weeks, 4 weeks in and we have no offers, I call them up. It's really, really easy to get a price adjustment. Now let's say I stuck a sign in their yard, said, hey, I'll be in contact, and then you don't talk to them at all. Maybe you text them some feedback here and there, but you don't give them any updates. You're not talking about what the market is. You're not talking about trends with a showing. And then you call them 30 days later, be like, hey, the house hasn't sold. Let's do a price drop. They're going to fight you. They're going to say you've not been doing anything. Like you stuck a sign in the yard, walked away, and 30 days later, you're trying to get me to drop the price. But if you have constant communication, constant feedback, you're going to keep your sellers happy. They're going to be in the loop. They're going to be in the know. They're going to know what you're doing to actively get their house sold. And so that's the easiest way to keep them happy is to over communicate. And then it's easy to get a price adjustment whenever you're over communicating. Now, on top of that, our listing coordinators are calling every 2 to 3 weeks to touch base with our sellers. So it acts as a second person because maybe there's something I'm doing that they're not happy about and they won't tell me, but maybe they'll tell the listing coordinator and then we can make an adjustment to keep these people happy. So if there's something I'm doing wrong, they have somebody else to tell that to. On top of that, every 45 days, if the house has been on the market for 45 days, I'm either going over to their house to reconnect with them or I'm meeting with them over Zoom. You can only do so much through phone, but if you get face-to-face with people, it makes them feel more comfortable and it's easier to get a price drop or make adjustments based on whatever you need to do. So if you follow this plan to a T, I promise you, you'll keep sellers happy and you'll sell more listings. If you have questions or if you'd like to print out of our exact active listing maintenance system, reply back to this email, shoot me an email, let me know you want our exact system and I will email you over a copy of this. As always, I hope you found this valuable. If you haven't subscribed to our Success in Real Estate YouTube page, we do post some videos that we don't email out. So if you want to keep getting informed and becoming a better agent, it's a great resource for you. If you have any questions, as always, don't hesitate to reach out. Again, I'm Trey with Dobie Real Estate, and I hope you have a great day.